Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm. It's a pretty okay day today. A little overcast, as you can see. I'm thinking by the temperature, we're probably going to get a little bit of rain here later today. But that'll be somebody else's problem because today's the day. Today's the day we jump on a jet plane and we leave the farm. So that's why I want to do a quick video on leaving the farm and how best to prepare for it. I know there's been lots of questions in the forums on how folks that get into homesteading, hobby farming, or even full-scale farming, how they ever manage to leave for a weekend or an extended getaway, especially when you got things like chickens, goats, sheep, horses, pigs, llamas, donkeys, you name it, right? If you got livestock, you got to care for them. And how do you do that when you got to leave for a few days? So one of our biggest concerns, just on a day-to-day, never mind even for an extended stay, has been water supply, right? And we want to reduce our inputs. I don't want to pack water every single day. So what I did, you can kind of see it over there, that little red bucket. It's got a float in it. It's tied to a garden hose. So I don't have to carry water. So that's perfect because that means I can leave overnight or for a weekend and they've always got water. But what happens if the garden hose explodes and all that water runs on the ground and your water well's pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping? Well, that's not good, right? Your animals will still have water. They'll just drink whatever's on the ground. We also want to have farm sitters. The other thing we rigged up for water is we have a couple of these little trailers here with water tanks on it, and you can see got the shut-off valve with a garden hose connection, so I can tie a garden hose to another float in a trough, something like that. And they've got, I don't even know what that is, like 125 gallons or something like that. It's quite a large volume of water, right? Another important thing to consider is security. So if you're going to be gone for an extended period of time, if you have somebody watching the place, we recently just installed these gates, not so much for a keep the bad guys out perspective, but keep what's supposed to be in perspective, right? Like the guard dogs. Like, you know what? We've got a couple of animals. We've got some sheep over there. We've got some cows on the south side of the house. We've got the horse and the donkey over here. If for whatever reason, the good Lord decides to let them out of the pen, we want them to, at least stay in the farmyard, right? Because if the neighbor drives by and sees a donkey in the wife's lilac bushes, they're going to know there's a problem and be able to help out, right? But if they're run down the road 4 miles, well, I mean, it could be anybody's donkey at that point. So we're down here now in the big pie-shaped piece, and this is our water setup. So we've got the portable trailer full of water, and then we've got 2 tanks that I've pre-filled. And you can see I got the garden hose run along here with float switch right there, so it constantly keeps this full. Now, if I were to do this with a little bit more prep time, because that tub's a little bit bigger and a little bit higher, is I'd probably either set up a siphon so that it could just siphon out of there and I'd just have the float switch on that side, and as this one dropped, it would just siphon out of that one. Or I would run a dual hose system with dual floats and just keep them both full at the same time. But nevertheless, they've got, I don't even know how big these are, but lots of water. They got lots of water, probably enough to last them for about 3.5 weeks. But so this is one of the things that I want the farm sitters to come down here and check, just to make sure, because you know what, animals are animals. Say, they chew on one of these or whatever, something like that, right? And then they got water leaking on the ground, and suddenly they don't have 3.5 weeks supply of water. Well, the contingency for that is either somebody could come down with the side-by-side, haul the trailer back up, refill it and bring them, or there is actually a creek that flows through here. And they're fenced on all sides. So the creek flows through. I still got securement. The animals aren't going to leave, but they do have that secondary water source, which is really positive. Now, in terms of containment, I will say, whatever pen, field, paddock, pasture you're going to keep them in, you want to be able to make sure that you can actually keep them in. And that is where they're at right now, kind of over the little pie-shaped piece and the dugout piece. As we've talked about that before, is that's not 100% containment. I mean, that's like 95% containment. So if a guy's around, I don't mind putting them in there. If a guy's home every night kind of thing, checking on the animals frequently, I don't mind them being in there. They can chew that off. That's good grass over there. But if I want to leave for the weekend, or I want to, even be gone overnight, I want them in here, because this is a really good fence. Keeps everything in, keeps other stuff out. It's fantastic. And just have that peace of mind is worth a lot. About $2,000, in fact, is what that's worth. All that fence. Keeping sheep in is not cheap. Grand card, Charlotte. Oh boy, you're tough.
I think I got it.
Oh, a little bit more. That's one thing I like about this. I can drop this tank off and can keep these things full, and I'm not tied to it. Is it getting hard?
Yeah.
You want me to go for a bet?
No.
You got her? You're big and tough, right?
Yeah.
Up here in the farm area right now, and we're just going to get prepped to feed the dogs. And feeding the dogs is one thing that's one job for the farm sitters for sure. I want to do that every day. I really haven't been able to find a good solution for feeding animals, feeding dogs especially, for an extended period of time. Just because I find if you're feeding dogs lots in bulk or anything like that, you're probably also feeding mice or any kind of rodent, squirrels, or you feed a lot of crows and magpies, right? And that's really not the intent, right? So we just give him what he needs for the day, and we'll have the farm sitters come back every day, make sure they got what they need. So now for feeding chickens, we've actually got 2 of these giant chicken feeders here that hold 4 5-gallon pails of chop. And they're pretty handy. So I mean, you could on a normal week, I will just fill this up on a Saturday and come back next Saturday and top it up again. So we've got 2 of them full. And if you're looking for something like that, they're made by a company called Conders. They're out of Englefield, Saskatchewan. And their website is www.sk.simpatico.ca/KOEMFG/. But I think rather than remember that website, you'll probably have better luck just Googling Conders. That's the name of the company. Pretty awesome to be able to have a full week's supply of chicken feed in there. Now, of course, as mentioned earlier, we're leaving him in primo growing season, right? So primo growing season comes with primo grasshoppers. So I'm putting a 2-week supply of food in there. But I'm also thinking that the chickens are going to forage and graze and eat grasshoppers and bugs and all that. And I'm going to come home and these are only going to be about half empty, which works just great for me. Anyways, I suppose it's probably time that I load up my suitcase and get ready to head out of here. So I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope you're able to get some time away from the homestead, get some well-deserved R&R. And I'll check back in with you in a couple of days.